Talkin 2-5 Nation. We're back, and we have got more than just me and Sean. We got Tommy Tomahawk sizzling steaks because his takes are just that hot. We got Chris, the dog man. No Kella.
Yeah, no, you got it right the first time.
There we go. And like I said, Papa Sean, I'm your host, Jake. As always, we got a great episode in store for you. A lot of really good questions. Unfortunately, Coach is out just diming people up on the gridiron doing his flag football thing, but he's got a question that he sent in a clip for everybody to answer just impromptu right on the spot. But we're talking biggest or bigger offseason addition, Saquon Barkley or Vic Fangio? That's a tough one. The one that I want the boys to be thinking about for a little bit. A fan sent in this question as well. Is Covey worth a roster spot with the lack of depth we have at the end right now? And he gave some more stuff. I'm going to get into that a little bit more when we get into that. We have a couple injury updates. Doc is unfortunately under the weather. He's treating himself, though, so you know he's going to be back soon. He's going to be coming back on later in this week to answer these in a little bit more depth, but I sent him some questions. He sent me back a few answers, and then we're going to get a little more into it later in the week. And then, look, we're just going to do our normal shit that we do any other week, and it's just going to go off the rails. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, gentlemen, first topic right off the bat, it's a fucking heater. Bigger offseason edition, or I'll say, I'm not even bigger, I'll say more impactful offseason edition. Saquon Barkley or Vic Fangio? Floor is open.
So here's what I asked myself earlier when I was thinking about this question was, without the other piece, do we win as many games as we currently are at? So without Fangio, do we win as many games that we still have 10 wins? Or without Saquon, and we still have 10 wins? So when I was thinking about that, I was thinking that the more impactful piece for me was Saquon, because I think he's winning us games. I don't think we're scoring as much as we're scoring without him. And I think Fangio, while what he's doing with that defense is absolutely incredible, is less impactful as the addition of Saquon, in my opinion.
I'll truly think it's an unfair question, and I don't think it's possible to pick one of the two. I think Saquon Barkley, putting him up against Fangio is also almost like, to me, putting him up against an entire unit. And I think that the Eagles have been a 10, 11 win team without Saquon Barkley, but they've never had this kind of defense. But it also doesn't just go on Fangio. It's also with the picks of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and some of these young guys stepping up. And so I think that's a pretty loaded kind of question in comparison to make, a coach versus a single player. But for the sake of answering it, I could just say that it would be Fangio because he controls an entire unit, and it's almost unfair to me, like I said, to put that entire unit and their performance up against one guy. So that's kind of my analysis of the situation. But it's an interesting take and topic to discuss. Are you saying, Jake, that you believe those are the two like MVPs of the team right now?
I would say those are the two most impactful guys on the team right now. Like, obviously, and I'm going to get into it with my defense of one answer or the other, but like, obviously, this saying Fangio is more important than a specific player on defense isn't slighting that defensive player. Like, Zack Baun's having an all-pro year. He's the number one linebacker in football right now by any analytic you're looking at. Quinyon's obviously defensive rookie of the year runaway at the moment. You got Cooper DeJean playing at a ridiculous level. Jalen Carter's continuing this ungodly pace. Like, it's not slighting these players at all. But I mean, I think this is honestly just so much respect to Saquon because of what you said right there. Like, we're talking about a guy that has his fingerprints over an entire unit compared to one guy. We're saying this one guy is so impactful that he is or may be very close to being more impactful than an entire unit coming together and gelling. That just shows how ridiculous this season is for Saquon Barkley. It's almost a coin flip for me. I was talking to a listener, and he was saying he went Barkley just because he felt as though teams our oppositions are game planning Saquon Barkley. Their defense is, what are we doing about Saquon? And to have that much of an impact is just absurd. We're on defense. They got to worry about a lot of things. I'm going to go through our defensive rankings right now. We're top 5 in almost every major defensive ranking, with a lot of those being 1. But for the most part, I believe teams are more concerned about how do we stop Saquon Barkley? Because look, we are the fewest attempted pass team in the NFL. I believe we're attempting less than 28 passes a game, which is dead last in the NFL. And we're still averaging, what was it, 32 points, something like that, something ridiculous, 28.7 points, something nuts like that, with only throwing it 28 times and only completing it probably like 20 times, 18 to 20 times a game. That's the Saquon effect.
But
we've already go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut in or cut you off, but you brought up a lot of great points, and it kind of triggered this point to me to kind of counter. Saquon is having a great season, no doubt about it. Elite season, one of the best running back seasons we've ever seen, right? But everyone saw that Saquon Barkley's talent on this kind of offense, loaded offense, great offensive line, Jeff Stoutland, Kellen Moore coming in, mixing things up, bringing a new Riz to the offense. End of the day, we kind of knew this about Saquon. He's going to have an elite season. He is insanely good. But can you name like one player on our defense that was getting talked about in a national level before the season? Maybe Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
But everybody on our defense is literally just like not a household name. A rookie or a guy that people didn't really think was elite. We don't have one elite defense. Like, so to me, Vic Fangio is like him taking this defense full of young players that we were all like, this guy has to have a big year. This guy has to have a big year. Get all these young guys, these Georgia guys. Oh, that's never going to work. It's not Alabama running out of that tunnel. Vic Fangio has them playing like it is Alabama running out of that tunnel. And to be honest, the shock factor and like the expectations versus reality ratio for the Fangio defense is way higher for me than what I would say. Like, I expected Saquon to be crazy. He's still outdoing my expectations, but it's not as big of a margin because this defense was like, how is he going to take all these kids and make this like we were like, if they're just a top 15 defense, we're fine. Like, if they're 14th in the NFL, we are going to go 13-4. They are top
15-2.
They're top 5 in the NFL. Now they have a chance, Sean said early in a way past episode, that we're going to go 15-2, and now it almost looks like they could. And it's absolutely insane after starting 2-2. But this defense, I think they surprised me more, and that's why I would lean like Fangio, and the defense is just this. It's a phenomenon to me. It's like I've never seen this with an Eagles team. We haven't seen it in a long time.
No, I wanted to go on a tangent on Vic Fangio and this defense as well. I just wanted to give credit to Saquon, just the fact that we can even say it's close between a guy turning around a shit defense and now making it the number one defense in the NFL compared to one dude. Like, this was just me giving him his flowers, giving him his respect, because it's one dude compared to a guy that turned around an entire unit. I want to hear what Sean has to say before I talk about Fangio a little bit. And then, Chris, I want you to interrupt it at some point.
All right. So, I mean, great points have already been made. I'm going to be piggybacking off of each and every one of you. My thoughts were just going on to kind of a maligned baseball stat in WAR. Like, what's your wins above replacement? What's your value above who essentially you replaced, right? And last year, this Eagles offense, which was largely the same, just with literally just plugged in Saquon, was still good.
Wow, Jason Kelce, just not a dude.
I said largely. Okay, the 10 out of or 9 out of 11 starters, right? That's pretty consistent from one year to the next, right?
Sorry,
this was a good offense, right? Now, how good it would be with any other running back, I'm sure it's not quite as good. I'm sure that the time of possession, the physicality, right? Ultimately, the points scored, it's diminished, right? So there is value above replacement. But I want to run a couple numbers by you, okay? I have here the all of the scores, or how many points our Eagles defense allowed from the 49ers game last year till the end of the season, okay? We allowed 42, 33, 20, 25, 35, 27, and 32 points. Okay. I don't know what that averages out to be, but it's damn near 30 points, right? We only gave up 20 points once, and every other time it was more than that. Now, let me tell you, juxtapose that to every single game we've had since the bye this week, okay? We have given up 16 points. 3 points, 17 points, 23 points, 6 points, 18, 20, and 19. We've given up more than 20 points once. One time. There's not been a single game this season, other than the Bucs game, where this defense has not commanded the game, has not completely changed the dynamic of how offenses play against us, and has not allowed us to do whatever the hell we wanted to do on offense. This is a game-changing defense here, and it's because of Vic Fangio. We were much like Tom said, this was supposed to be maybe a top 15, 16-ish defense, right? We've got pundit after pundit being exposed for their old take, saying, yeah, guess what? Vic Fangio's washed and he has no talent to work with. And we were wrong. He is the biggest reason why this team only has 2 losses at this point of the season. Saquon has been a man possessed, right? He should be getting a hell of a lot more consideration for MVP. But that entire unit, Vic Fangio has playing just like Pro Bowl calibers across the ball. There's not a single game where this, other than the Bucs game, since the Bucs game, that we have even had like a halfway decent, like the fourth quarter has been just like, let's get dinner started. Let's start with the afternoon because there might be a garbage time goal in here, but it has been an ass whooping, it feels like, for a month and a half straight because of Vic Fangio and this defense.
I think you brought up a great point, which takes us to our next segment that I'm calling PB and yay or nay. Pro Bowl, yay or nay. I'm going to list every defensive starter. You tell me at this point in the year whether legitimately they are PB and yay or PB and nay. Jalen Carter. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a yeah. That's a yeah.
Peanut butter and yes.
Peanut butter and yes. All right, now we're gonna. I threw you a softball right over the plate. Now we're gonna go a little outside slider. See if we're going Castellanos and swinging on it. Nolan Smith.
No.
I agree. Josh Sweat.
No.
If he continues at this pace he's on, maybe. At this point, I agree with you.
There's a lot of talented edge rushers.
There's a lot of talent. He's on it. The last 3 or 4 games, he's been a big time difference maker.
Good for. Hey, listen, and all these guys, by the way, good for us. But Pro Bowl's about like tenure and stats and things like that. So this is no disrespect to any of these players. Like Nolan Smith, to be honest, I'll take his effort, but that's not what the Pro Bowl really is right now. It's more about like popularity and social media, and they play dodgeball and stuff. It's not really about like.
Fair enough. In this segment, let's do just based on skill. If it was true to be in like
the old school, I feel I'm giving you a heart. I don't know why I'm big braining it here. Let's just keep rolling, baby.
Moro Ajomu, no. Milton Williams,
that's the guy. No.
That's on.
He hasn't played enough. He hasn't played enough. But if he had a 60-70% snap share, we might be having a different conversation.
All right, now we're getting to the fun point. Zack Baun.
Yes.
Yeah, without a doubt. N'Kobe Dean.
Fringe, probably not.
Yes.
Probably not.
Sean's going yes.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Not
us. I like to support Sean. I'll take it. It's Philly does.
I love N'Kobe Dean.
Because I don't think that there's a ton of super talented linebackers out there right now that are playing much better than he has.
No, he's having a nutty year.
Yeah, I love both of those guys so much.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Nah,
not enough interceptions this year.
No.
But I love what he did for our team, though. Like I said, every guy, all these guys, I love these guys. They're so good. But Pro Bowl,
Darius Slay.
Nah.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get the votes though because he's popular.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, he probably gets in there.
Yeah.
Reed Blankenship.
No.
3 game saving interceptions. I don't know. No, he's not.
He's
not. And then finishing with the rookie duo dynamic nutty crew of Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell.
And Quinyon, yes.
Quinn's a lock, and DeJean's damn close.
DeJean, like again,
I'm going, yeah.
It's like more like popularity or like tenure or like shock. Like, oh, they're rookies and they're playing really well. So like
all-star, again, based on their skill this season, should it be if there was just an all-star game, not this Pro Bowl popularity?
But I think all these dudes would be. They're playing like it. That, like Sean said, he's got them playing Pro Bowl football across the ball. But did they actually get in or not?
No. Like I'm saying, if we thought to deserve to, we're probably looking at Quinyon, Cooper, Jalen Carter, Zach Baun, maybe Nakobe Dean. So we're looking at 4 that we're like, yeah, they're Pro Bowl players, and then 1 maybe 2 maybes in there if Josh Sweat continues to year.
He didn't get hurt, and he kept. Had like 7-8 sacks. Like he would be. This defense, it's cool going through everybody because it's like an everybody eats defense. Like,
oh yeah, that's still nuts that we have 4 at this point in our minds locks for the Pro Bowl, 2 rookies, and then 2 guys that could very well make the Pro Bowl if they continue on a nutty pace, and everybody else is still a dog.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
is still just playing outside out of their mind. It's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Bryce Huff, Thomas Booker, who weren't mentioned. I love you guys. Get back. Bryce Huff, we need him. Come on.
Yeah.
Need Bryce Huff for the stretch run, baby.
Yeah. Speaking of D end, next question that was sent in by the fan. It's going to be kind of a long explanation, but essentially the question is Britton Covey worth a roster spot? Because his mindset is like, yeah, look, he's an above average punt returner. He offers you nothing as a wide receiver. You got a number of guys that could play punt returner, whether it's Will Shipley, Kenny Gainwell, any of these fringe secondary guys that have gone out there for kick return and all that have explosive potential and everything. And let's say they average 3 to 5 less return yards on punts than he does. Are those 3 to 5 yards, when we just talked about how Saquon is just a lock for just bursting up the field, getting you 3 to 5 yards, no problem. Are those 3 to 5 yards worth keeping a guy on a roster when we could use that spot for more depth with guys like Bryce Huff out, with guys going down on IR and everything, where we could get depth in more needed positions than punt returner?
I mean, I'll say that I think Britton Covey is deserving of another chance to get back and get right and claim his punt return position and show his value. Because to be honest, he started this season and last year was really good. But he started this season at like a pace where we were like, man, he's going to be a part of a big year for us. And I think him getting injured, it kind of made people like start to think otherwise. And I feel like, he'll show his value if he continues to get opportunities.
No, I'm more. It could be anybody. If their only job essentially is punt returner, is that worth holding a roster spot over depth? I mean, this is not slighting Britton Covey in the slightest. Like he is a great punt returner, but on a team that is lacking depth at D end, a team that is lacking depth at a few areas, is essentially somebody that's on the roster solely to be punt returner worth rostering.
Yeah, if he was getting a couple targets every single game, then I could say maybe there's some worth in it. But this team really doesn't see any targets outside of their wide receiver 1 and 2, and occasionally their tight end 2. That's kind of as far into the depth chart it goes. I don't think it burned us this week, right? But as the season progresses, we're going to need much more of a full defensive end rotation. We saw how tired the defensive line looked at the last month or so of the year last season, and I think it's a no-brainer. Like, I love Britton Covey. I love how much better he's gotten since he stepped into the pros. But
best teeth on the team,
at best, Chicles on the entire squad, and it's not even close. But at some point, you have to just say, listen, I'm just going to take one of these guys and just have them fair catch every single time, and just find a guy that's sure-handed enough catching them and just say, listen, catch the ball or let it roll into the end zone. And then our offense has been good enough at sustaining drives to where we're just going to make it work.
See, from my view, it's just keep it simple. Like, if he's your guy, and just let him be the guy. Why gamble? Why take that shot with somebody else, like you mentioned, Jake? So my view is much more simple. Just keep it simple. If he's your guy, then roll him out there.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know, like Sean's point later in the season, if you can take that risk of, well, he's our guy. Again, we love him. He seems like a great energy in the locker room. Seems like the players love him. It's good chemistry, great guy, great at his position, but it's just how valuable is somebody's who only's role, their only role is punt return. When we do have some explosive guys that can either catch a punt without dropping it, to Sean's point, just fair catch it, or can catch it and have a potential of having some open field success. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning in the camp of if there's somebody out there like there, I don't know if you guys saw it. I saw somebody post a screenshot of they messaged Shaq Barrett's either wife or girlfriend. I don't know if he's married or not. I don't know if this is a real screenshot or not, but they messaged her after he announced he was coming out of retirement, just saying like, yo, we want Shaq on the Eagles. And she responded, that's why he came out of retirement, to come to the Eagles. Again, haven't really looked into this to see the validity of it and everything. So if they had somebody like him lined up, I would say, yeah, open the roster spot, make it happen. If it's just, well, maybe we'll find somebody on the practice squad, maybe we can elevate somebody. No, I'm not going to open the roster spot just so a practice squatter that we can bring up and play 5 snaps a game has the potential to be there. But if there's somebody that you legit think, like when we brought in Nakamigan Sue and Linville Joseph, who obviously were massive additions to that team, that you can add on and be like, this guy is going to build up to 20 to 25 snaps a game and give us some key moments, I'm not even hesitating. I'm saying, hey, bud, I'm sorry. We're going to try to bring you to our practice squad, but we're going to waive you. I hope somebody picks you up and you can be on their active roster, but we need this person to make this impact for this run. We hope to see you on the practice squad. If not, best of luck. Not even hesitating.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Depends on what that who that person would be that we're bringing in, the position that we need it for. It all depends.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, things are working. Why shake it up?
No, exactly. Now, to make the second part of PBA or nay a little bit faster, I'll just say on offense and special teams, who do you have as a Pro Bowler? I won't go each individual player. That took a little bit longer than I was thinking.
Jordan Mailata, 100%.
Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, I think, is a lock. I mean, the fact that we haven't talked more about, I mean, Sean and I talked about him a little bit last week, but I mean, you would have no idea that we lost the best center of all time. This guy is just going out there. He's Jason Kelsey's clone with a haircut. He's going out there in the second level and just moving meat. Cam Beef Jerky Jurgens out there just moving motherfuckers.
Just moving a whole bunch of meat. Saquon, another
Saquon,
one.
Cam,
No fucking brainer.
Mailata,
Lane Johnson,
Lane,
and AJ.
Landon Dickerson, AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, the guy has look at his numbers. Look, he's on a great team. He'd definitely be in there. Who else in the NFC quarterback wise is really outplaying Jalen right now?
No, exactly. You're looking at maybe Jared Goff.
Yeah, Jared Goff would be the other one, and then probably Jordan Love.
But he had missed some time, and he's been doing big numbers, but he has a lot of turnovers too.
Yeah, and then
I mean,
Sam Darnold has been playing good ball, but
Vikings are frauds.
Yeah, I'm not really too.
This is like the 13-4 year when the Vikings were 13-4 and had a negative point differential, or like a single-digit point differential, and got just trounced at home in the opening round of the playoffs. Like this is the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the Vikings. They have a decent team. I don't really. I mean, I guess I'm just hating on them, but I would still consider Sam Darnold. But it's just the quarterbacks on the best teams usually are playing the best, and that's not what's going on. I think it's being a little overstated.
We think he's deserving of it. Not that he's going to get it. Do we feel as though he's deserving of a Pro Bowl nod this year?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been a little overstated how he's playing poorly. I don't think there's any context to that. People are just looking at the numbers and throwing things around, and I think there's a misconception that Jalen Hurts is playing bad because he's not throwing for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns every week. And I think he just makes the right plays and does the right things. And I think
he has struggles. I think he holds on to the ball too long.
Sure,
I think he misses some guys.
A lot of quarterbacks do that.
He's the longest average time to throw. So a lot of quarterbacks do it. He does it worse than anybody starting in the NFL. So, I mean, that's not just
that a little bit. There's also plays where he runs around and makes a play, and that's probably why I've
seen that a lot more in previous years. I haven't seen a lot of. You see it every now and then, but I've seen. And look, I still probably think he's deserving, but it's more of like the Josh Sweat maybe zone for me, the Nakobe Dean maybe zone. I think he's made some mistakes. I think he's done a phenomenal job since the bye of protecting the ball.
We're talking about Pro Bowl though, so we're comparing him to the other quarterbacks and all these things that you're listing about him. You could really say about a lot of these guys. I mean, that was the whole thing, is that Jalen is playing on par with any of the top quarterbacks on any of the teams. Like Jared Goff had a game where he threw 5 interceptions and they won. So it's like there's you could look across the league, across the NFC specifically. I mean, you just said it about Jordan Love, high turnovers. Like you can look and break down anybody's stuff like that. And I'm not saying you're wrong about some of the things Jalen Hurts has done.
No, like I said, he probably will make it. It's just more of, is he playing at, like, just in our minds heading into it, is like, is that all-star level play? Is that play at an all-star level? I think it's right there.
I think it's all-star level play. I just don't think he's being asked to do much.
No, I think that plays so much into it.
I love that. They're not asking him to do everything and be Superman out there. They're asking him to do, a moderate amount of stuff, and he's doing an excellent job of doing just that. So if it's the popularity contest, then he may very well get in if we're going off of who the most handsome quarterback is in the NFC. I mean, he's first ballot, but as far as just, I don't know, like you talk about numbers, the numbers aren't going to be there, right? They haven't had to be there.
No, exactly.
Right? So what's what criteria are we going off? I mean,
he does have the same numbers as Josh Allen.
Okay, but there's one quarterback. That's fine.
Yeah, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, he's the leading candidate for MVP.
Like, he has the same exact numbers as him, same total touchdowns, same all that.
Okay, but numbers are numbers. Like how important are they? Because context is important to everything.
Yeah,
right?
it is. That's right.
But then what else is there? So if we're not talking numbers, then when we talk wins, he's got that under his belt. Play, I mean, he's winning games.
How he's playing, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that you can't go through a list of things they do wrong and have flaws. And I don't know why it's being so overstated about Jalen's flaws specifically. I think obviously because we're Eagles fans, we're going to talk about that. But relative to what we're asking about Pro Bowl is comparing him to the other quarterbacks in the conference. And to be honest, I just don't think there's anyone that's playing much worse than Jalen, but I don't think anyone's playing much better. Yeah, I think they're all those top guys on the top teams, like your Jared Goff. I mean, that team is being led by a run game.
Without a doubt.
Do as much, and he can definitely sling the ball. I'm a big Jared Goff fan. I always have been. I think he's a good quarterback, but that's what great quarterbacks do.
Wentz is better.
They make decisions. They make the right decisions. They make the right plays. They do what's being asked of them. Jared Goff doesn't throw a lot either. He's down at the bottom of the pass play percentage too. So same with Lamar. Same with like I said, he has the same numbers as Josh Allen. Buffalo doesn't throw, like they're down in the bottom 10 of pass percentage versus run. So I think
I was going to say when Sean was talking earlier, I love Hurts, and I do think he's having a very good year.
Whether you love him or not, it's just I think he's just playing well regardless. I mean I think he's just doing what's asked of him. Honestly,
well, I was saying I also think he's playing pretty well, and I was going to say when Sean was talking about what did this team look like without Barkley and everything, there's a part of me, obviously I'm incredibly happy that Barkley's here, but there's like that part of you that you're like, man, I would love to see Jalen Hurts in a Kellen Moore offense just slinging that thing, and because I know that he can, because we've seen him do it. And so, like, obviously, I'm glad that we don't have to. I'll run our way to a 20-point win every single week and be as happy as can be.
Yeah. I actually love just, all of the infighting on Twitter talking about how we have like the least amount of pass attempts per game. That has to be my favorite stat because that just means we are whooping
exactly
in and a week out. Like I love that Hurts isn't being asked to throw 50 times a game. Right. So if he doesn't get the all-star nod because we haven't needed him to throw a ton.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kenny Pickett's out there.
He can finish his career with 0 all-stars. I do not care what.
Even Sirianni said it. He's not expected to do much in any fourth quarter, basically at all this year. So he's got 3 quarters to play.
Yeah, but he's got 2 quarters to play because if this team was a 4-quarter team, we'd be the greatest football team of all time.
But you give the guy the all-star nod because we don't need him to do as much.
Yeah, I think he's great.
But also thinking about it out loud, there's not anybody that's running away with this.
No.
Right? In the NFC, there's not a ton of top-tier elite, like that guy plug and play is going to be an all-star. He's just owning the league right now. Yeah. We don't have that guy. There's parity pretty much all throughout the NFC.
Yeah, when you look at the NFC, it's really just Jared. I don't even put Darnold up there, to be honest. It's really just Goff.
And
I don't put Jordan Love because of the picks.
And Jared Goff, it's because of their record. It's not because Jared Goff's out there winning games single-handedly. They got David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs, both as top 15 running backs right now.
I mean, they're both like they're top. That is an elite run game. Behind us, I think that's the best run game in the league. And the reason we're the best is our O-line, but we also have the best running back. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, that's what wins Super Bowls. So, quarterback, I know that was the question, and we weren't trying to create a sidebar combo, but that's kind of what quarterback play. That's what wins Super Bowls, like quarterback play that you can let your guy kind of coast a couple games in this. You can't go through a season where you have to rely. Remember last year we beat Sam Howell and Washington 2 games that we had to score like 34 and 38 in. One of them was an overtime game. You don't want that if you're playing like that, something's wrong. Like this was a different conversation last year around this time on this channel. You know what I mean? So
we had 0 comfortable wins last year.
Yeah,
zero.
Like you don't. Yeah. So now when you do get those comfortable wins, guess what's going to get talked about? Why isn't your quarterback throwing for 300 yards? Well, it's because we're freaking boat racing teams and we don't start fast. And a lot of games he doesn't really have to because Saquon's been popping these runs. Our defense clamps up and he makes the plays he needs to. And that's honestly, if you want to say game manager this, game manager that, if they want to say that, like that's what I've been hearing, then cool. But to be honest, I think he's one of those dangerous kind of like.
You've seen how many elite teams or very good teams that we've been down double digits to that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense have let a comeback?
Yeah, exactly. Like we've seen it. Why are people – that's the thing to me is you can comment on how he's playing now, but the bottom line is this guy, like we've seen him take over games. So we don't have to question that if he can do that or not. He might not be playing perfect now, but I feel like the bigger the game, the bigger the moment, this guy's going to come alive. And when he needs to do it, he'll do it for us.
Oh, without a doubt.
We'll see.
Real quick, because we talked about the Lions and their run game. Did you guys see the stat about the top leading rushers in the NFL?
No, which one? I mean, which one?
In the second half.
So Saquon in the second half, that one. So it's Saquon, Derrick Henry, forget who's 3, Shaw, maybe you guys remember. And then 4 was Saquon just in the second half above Jahmyr Gibbs. Out flat.
It reminds me of LaDainian Tomlinson's like 2003 fantasy season where it's like LaDainian Tomlinson rushing is number 1 and LaDainian Tomlinson receiving is like number 3 or something like that.
Just fucking wild, dude.
No, insane. Well, look, it was a good, fun topic. Obviously, we're in Philadelphia. We're going to talk about the quarterback all the time. And we've talked on this podcast, like nobody's above having some of their flaws pointed out. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's leading this team, which is, on the field, off the field, and in every different category. But I'm going to say, like, hey, there's times where everybody's sitting in the room yelling, throw the ball, get rid of the ball. Sure. And, there's times where anybody makes mistakes. I mean, you got all these jackasses every week. Eagles would be 11-1 if Saquon caught the ball. Yeah, you know how many wins we'd have if Saquon wasn't on the team? We don't know because Jalen Hurts isn't relied on to throw it 45, 50 times a game because Saquon is on the team. So we're going to head it over to our boy Coach, who's out balling right now, but sent in a question. I want each of you to answer this right off the cuff. So here's Coach.
What's up, Talkin 215 family? It's your boy, Coach Joey here. I have a trivia question for you. Well, not really trivia. I want to know your answer to something. So you get to pick one upgrade. What was the best upgrade at a single position all year for this Eagles defense? And you can only choose one. Is it going from James Bradbury to Quinyon Mitchell? Is it going from Nicholas Morrow to Zack Baun? Or is it going from Avonte Maddox / whoever we were throwing out in the slot to Cooper DeJean? You can only pick one on defense. And what is the biggest upgrade at that single position? I want to know. Tell me in the comments. Tell me who you think the biggest upgrade is, and you can't say all 3. Pick one.
Fuck. That's
notice how he said defense, so nobody can say Saquon over DeAndre Swift.
He gave us the 3 choices.
Well, he just those were the 3 obvious ones. Yeah. Is there anybody else you'd add in there?
Anything that includes Bradbury, whoever Bradbury's replacement was. In addition, he's possibly an all-star. I got to go Quinyon over Bradbury.
But like I again, I think that's an unfair question. Like they're all exactly the same to me.
Oh,
Like,
would you quit?
They're
it with
not.
the
They're not
unfair
exactly the
question?
same.
Don't answer the unfair question, Tom.
you're either getting cooked by Bradbury, you're getting cooked by Maddox, or you're getting cooked by Nicholas Morrow. Like what makes one any different than the other? You know,
because you saw how they got beat in a lot of these games, and it was by Bradbury getting absolutely torched. Like we saw, even when we had bad linebacker play, even we had Maddox or whoever else. You had what was his name, Roby.
Roby was horrible. You got
Bradley Roby out there. No matter who was out there, it's still what always seemed to be the worst was James Bradbury. For me, like you guys, how many times people say, "Oh, go with your gut"? All three of you, right when he finished, was, "Oh, anything with Bradbury, yeah, Bradbury," and then Tom, just the little Tommy shirt, the shit stir out here, like, "Oh, I think everybody should get a participation trophy."
But it is. How do you just pick one there? Like, I mean, yeah,
because it's the biggest addition, it's the biggest improvement.
I'm sorry, but I had to sit in that stadium in the cold and watch Nicholas Morrow let Deebo Samuel turn him inside out. And I'm sorry, but you could pick on any three of those guys. So yeah, I'm sorry, coach. I can't pick one. It's all three. There's no one that's more important.
Last year where the game was on the line and every single play they attacked James Bradbury and just went down the field where you can say they single-handedly lost that game because of James Bradbury. Like there's no little dink and there's
like when we're up by 2 or up by 4 at the end of the game, Nicholas Morrow is not nearly as big of a liability because they're not running it up the middle. They're not throwing it in the middle of the field. They're attacking the outside. They're attacking deep. They're attacking James Bradbury. And guess what? They're winning.
Guys, what happens when Avonte Maddox gets on the field this season? Every single
we're not talking about this season. We're not talking about this season.
We're talking about what happens.
We're talking about Avonte Maddox last season.
This year.
Last year he was trash. He wasn't on the field. What do you mean?
That's why we said Maddox or whoever else was in that slot safety kind of role.
Yeah. Like, and what were they, like, clamping shit up? Like, no one was doing that. No, they weren't doing any of that. None of those guys were. Not even close.
Tom, you must be great to like watch like awards show with. Like, can you imagine just getting like the nod for like best album of the year? And Tom's just going, but I don't understand how you can select any of them. They were all so good.
They were all hard. They were all the same. Like when you see Avonte Maddox on the field this year, last year, doesn't matter. He gets beat every time. So that's what I'm saying. You put Quignon on last year's defense. Okay, we're clamping the deep route, but someone's getting cooked in the slot.
Okay. We don't even know how good Bradbury would be in the team this year. We know Maddox. We know Maddox was better last year than he was this year. How far has James Bradbury fallen off this year? We don't even know. And we won't.
So
I don't want to know.
So put Quignon Mitchell. Keep Quignon Mitchell on this team, but put Avonte Maddox at slot. Like the upgrade is the same. Like you're going to get picked on either way. Like if
you're not answering the question.
If we didn't have Cooper DeJean, who would be in the slot? Who would be in the slot if we didn't have
Maddox?
It appears for whatever reason that it would be Maddox.
And what would happen?
Bad things.
Here's the thing. I'm going to pose the same question though. Like, our offense with Saquon, with Jalen, with AJ, with everybody is going to keep us competitive if that was the case. Let's say Maddox is in there, Q's on the outside. You just take Cooper out and you have Maddox in there. Here, like at the end of the game, we're up 4 points. That's not nearly as important. The slot corner is not nearly as important because they don't have timeouts. They got to score a touchdown to win the game. They're attacking the outsides. They're attacking deep.
You're given one situation. Why is that?
I'm saying that's the most likely situation.
Why?
It'll be a shootout the whole game long.
Who would you rather get hurt, right? Which starter out of the three and be replaced by the replacement?
There we go. I have no idea because if we lose any three of those guys, DeJean, Mitchell, or maybe this year because we have Isaiah Rodgers, and like if Mitchell got hurt, it would be Isaiah and Slay. But like upgrade wise, like. If we had to have Nicholas Morrow or we had to have freaking James Bradbury, then any of those guys is equally as valuable to me. Because if you have any of those guys on the field, you're getting cooked. You're getting picked on.
So your answer is no answer?
Yeah,
Abstain.
I went against what he said, and to me, the margin, you can't really measure it, because if there's a complete liability on the field, getting a guy that's playing at that elite level like those three guys are, there's no way to say one of them's more important. They all just do different jobs, and they're all.
I can now understand why Tom gets in so many Twitter beefs.
I mean, it's just a logical response.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
Yeah.
Chris, you gotta answer.
Yeah, I kind of hate Coach for bringing up Bradbury. It was kind of out of sight, out of mind for a little while there. Kind of forgot he was on the team for a minute.
Yeah.
So Coach bringing him up definitely, and Sean bringing it up too, kind of sparked something in me, reminded me that James Bradbury is kind of a terrorist, and I definitely appreciate the upgrade on James Brad. But when he was talking, I was even, and this is kind of where I take Tom's side, is like, he was talking, he was like, James Bradbury. I was like, fuck, I don't want anything to do with that guy ever again. And then he said Zack Baun. I was like, shit. Yeah, that's kind of a huge upgrade. He's having a fucking phenomenal year.
Morrow, like, that's not even. Oh my goodness, is he even on a team?
Nicholas Morrow last year was a average to maybe slightly below average linebacker. I think.
Okay, but how well if Morrow would play in this Fangio defense? We don't know. Would he have played a little better? Would he have been?
Bradbury would. Let's bring Bradbury back.
That's not.
Come on.
Bradbury was an all-pro before Desai ruined him, so I don't know.
No, I'm not devaluing Quinyon Mitchell either. I'm saying they're all that level.
You're not devaluing anybody. You're like, everybody's great.
Everybody's playing great. Yeah, they are. And to be honest, over those guys last year, man, those three guys, it's like what Chris was saying. Like, keep going. What's the next one that he said? Freaking Cooper DeJean over Avante. I mean, we saw that literally this year when Cooper DeJean goes off the field. Avante comes on and commits a penalty. He can't even survive a snap anymore.
I might as well schedule. I might as well
snaps last game, and he gave up a huge penalty and then an Aguilar drop.
Yeah, I might as well schedule the tweets. Every time he's on the field, I just tweet, "Get this guy off my team." Like, I don't want to see him.
I love Avante, like in terms of like his relationship with Goddard and all that. Like, he's one of those, like, it's sad to see, because I loved him when he was, but it's like whenever I see him, like, man, I can't even defend it anymore. Like, he gets picked on, and it's like, oh, gosh, here we go again. Like, so if we lost Cooper and he was in there, like, it'd be tough. If we lost Quinyon and Isaiah was in there, I'd feel a little more confident. But if it were Bradbury, I'd be like, oh boy, here we go. So I can't. It's impossible. It's impossible for me to decide one when the alternative is a horrible downgrade.
Fair.
That's what I got.
So we got anything to break down about this Ravens game? Because I definitely can't call this Eagles-Ravens breakdown episode.
Yeah, it's been cool topics, though. These are like not what everyone else is talking about. And that's what we bring on this podcast, baby.
Exactly.
Bring unique shit.
Exactly. No, I mean, I thought
that this was a masterclass in playing complementary defense, right? Because you're watching these games, and at first, whenever this Eagles team is on defense, right, Lamar looks like he's got all day to throw, right? All day to throw. You're thinking, why? But he can't find anybody open. Boom. Your secondary is playing excellent. Okay. Now you're
for the 4 plays where there wasn't a single player anywhere near the Ravens receiver.
Okay.
Yeah,
other than those
breakdowns.
If they find a way to never actually hurt us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's uncanny how they can have splash plays and we're like, so what? Anyways, moving on, 1st and 10, right? But then the defense, the D line has now completely just stayed in their lanes and has given Lamar nowhere to run the ball. Okay. Now he thinks, oh shit, I don't have a clear open gap from somebody just breaking contain. And within their containment, while staying in their lane, somebody wins. Right. And that happened over and over and over and over again, where it was like these guys were trying to pass rush in a hallway and they were winning. Like it took incredible amount of
held every play, not getting. Did they have a single offensive holding call?
All right. The secondary is holding these guys off while our defensive linemen all are pass rushing in a hallway, and they're still winning their reps. Like, I couldn't believe, like, so many things had to go right for this game to play out just like it did. And then on top of that, Lamar just didn't have a very good game either. Like, when he did have somebody open, it felt like he was hitting them in the feet or something like that, or just couldn't find them.
No, in our fantasy group chat, the Talking 2-5 League, not the Creators League, you had people saying that, they believe that game took Lamar out of MVP contention. That performance, they're now 5-loss team. He had a terrible game. He didn't take it. He's throwing it over people. He's throwing it at people's feet. He did nothing to really drive him in there late. Like that game, and I agree with him. That game took him out of MVP contention.
Hey, listen, that's what the Eagles defense does, baby. But no, but that's what I like. I want to say that first and foremost is, I know he was missing guys. I know what you're saying with that. I'm not, defending that whatsoever. But I do want to say that the Eagles defense, they were on him. I mean, even the touchdown that he threw early in the game was like he threw
great
it
coverage.
He threw it in like coverage and kind of had to like create time. And there was a couple plays where he was getting out and throwing downfield to Zay Flowers or hitting the guy. And I thought the Eagles defense, like, I know Lamar's great and can do that, but if you make a guy do that like all game, eventually it becomes not sustainable, and it more so favors the defense. And Jake, I mean, you were just talking about it earlier with Jalen Hurts. Like, you want to make a guy hold the ball and like have to think and move around and make mistakes and stuff like that. And I think that kind of starts to mess with your rhythm a little, and you might throw a mistimed ball, you might be inaccurate, your feet might get messed up, and your mechanics, that messes with your mechanics. So I think that's kind of what this Eagles defense does. And I made a video on Twitter week 1 after the win and talked about how the Eagles didn't get sacks, but they chased Jordan Love around all night and moved him off his spot all night. And he made some plays, but he also made some mistakes off it. And at the end of the day, I think if the Eagles play active like that all year, they'll be a really good defense. And I think that displayed it perfectly in the Ravens game.
So here's what I'll say in terms of takeaways, and you guys know ball, so I know you guys are going to see this one coming, but obviously the defense, obviously Saquon, huge games. Braden Mann.
That was my next point.
I'm sorry, I had to steal it.
No, I love it. I've been
thinking about this since Monday, and it's not just because we want to get him on the pod, but that flipped the game on its head. Like early in the game, it was like they're just driving down the field, they're having their way with us. Those punts to pin them inside the 5-2, wherever they got pinned, absolutely flipped the game on its head. Yeah. And that is such a momentum shift. And that was gigantic. Like, to give this defense the upper hand against that type of offense was unreal.
No, these first quarters where we're lucky to get 2 first downs in a drive, Braden Mann has been a godsend. He has, I think back, like, obviously we know what a third quarter team they are. They've got to be the best third quarter team in football, hands down. Point differential, everything is just insane in the third quarter. But how different could this record be if not for Braden Mann being able to be like, oh, like we haven't scored in the first quarter, but the biggest lead you're possibly going to get in the first quarter is 7 points, because you're only going to you may get 3 or 4 drives where you're starting half of them from inside the 10. He's taken so much momentum away from teams, so much of their ability to get on a team early, maybe have to where Jalen really has to rely on throwing it 30, 40 times. He keeps them in the game to be able to stick with that game plan of, we're going to get Saquon 25 carries a game, and we're going to run our offense. We're not leaving that. We're never too far away from a game. And I think Braden Mann is responsible for a lot of that.
Yeah. And you know what else is crazy? That we beat Ravens offense. Like, you just sit back and think, you look at Lamar's numbers, you look at their numbers on offense. We beat them, we clamp them up all game, and everybody, and then like Braden Mann, we win defense and special teams. I mean, this is a dangerous Eagles team. They beat you in so many ways. Everyone just talked about how Saquon carries Jalen, and that's all it was, the stats and passing yards and this and that. Did we not just go on the road into another team's house in the AFC that has 2-time
where we've never won?
Derrick Henry, and it's an AFC Super Bowl contender, and we walk in there and we literally just suck the complete air out of their offense and completely clamp up, and our rookie slot corner dumps Derrick Henry on his back and just makes a complete statement. The whole team is clowning him, and you want to talk about some other Saquon, Jalen, same BS every single week that you've talked about all year. Come on, man. Let's give it up for this defense. These dogs, these Philly dogs, Georgia dogs, whatever they want to be called. These young guys, like, it's insane what they're doing, and they're not getting. Everyone wants to talk about other things. this is what needs to be talked about. Defense, special teams, the Eagles have been money, and that doesn't get – those are the phases of the game that in today's generation with the highlights and the stats don't get talked about enough, and we got something that's going to win a championship.
What's the Selly mean? What's –
I tried to – I asked Zack Baun on Instagram, and he unfortunately didn't answer, but –
he said, "Dump them." That's a dump truck. That's the way to dump truck.
I think it's like hot. I think it's something with like hot, like cool me down or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Listen, what I will say is last year there were a lot of moments where you're going, okay, it's not the end of the world, but if everything falls apart, you're going to look back on that right afterwards, and you'll be like, well, maybe this was kind of the beginning of the end. And this season, we have had moment after moment where you're looking back going, hey man, if this ends up being a magical season, we're going to look back at this very moment going, this was a big moment. This was maybe when we started to realize this was going to happen. Right. So, and it seems like that was just every single week. And that was it this week where you're going, man, this team might be something special here. This is the moment where it felt like they were really putting stuff together, because every single week, as soon as it seems like we start off slow every single week. And then as soon as we catch up to the other team, and we always do, I'm good. I'm not stressed out. I feel like we're going to win this game, right? It's like a race, man. If you start off and you get off to a good lead and then somebody walks you down, there's no walking that back down. The momentum carries you. Whoever walks you down closer to the finish is going to win the race. And it feels like it every single week with the Birds. Like, don't let us catch you.
This Eagle team is Secretariat.
Yeah. Secretariat was just whooping ass from beginning to end. But
Secretariat was known for always starting at the very back of the pack.
Then never mind. I take everything I just said back. It's Secretariat, baby.
Yeah. Exactly. Secretariat leaned back in the gate and just kind of walked out, and then just said, all right, give me that shit.
But that's a great point Sean brings up. It's almost like an intangible confidence that we're now seeing with this team that wasn't there over the first couple of weeks of this season. And we felt like it was because of last season, all the dark cloud, and it was following us, and we needed a new coach, and we needed to get the cloud out of the building and whatever it was. And in reality, since the bye week, it seems like they've done that, and there's a confidence. And that's exactly what I felt when it was 9-0. I was like frustrated, but I was like, for some reason, I'm not like as down about this. Like, I feel like we're okay. And then things start turning, and when they gave us that light, the rest of the game, I just knew it. I knew it when we went up. What was it, like 14-9? I think before halftime or something like that. I was like, man, they made a mistake letting us hang around in this game.
As soon as when after all the mistakes we made, they had only put up 9 points and said you should have buried us when you had a chance.
Yep, you
didn't.
Yeah.
Now we're going.
Shout out Justin Tucker, man. Game ball.
Yep.
Game ball to Justin Tucker.
That was a big momentum swing too. That our special teams, our punter was dotting inside the 5, and their kicker, that's a Hall of Famer. That was his like washed game. Like,
and even the one kick that made it from like 50 yards or whatever, it kind of squeaked over. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy you usually see 55-yarder hitting up top of the net where you're like, fuck, that'd have been good from 70.
Best kicker.
Even that the 50-yarder he made was like barely over. That 52 he missed was like, oh, that might have made it from 54, but like he wasn't booming them. There was not that confidence there. Like, who would have thought in one season Jake Elliott and Justin Tucker would both have games in which they missed 7 points in one game?
That's
hey, but shout out to him. Career best, 3 missed kicks in one game. Shout out, setting career highs. Love breaking barriers.
Yeah. And Justin Tucker's been in the league since I've been in college, so that's pretty crazy.
Been in college that long?
I mean, when I was in what?
Not just messing.
Yeah, I'm still. Yeah, it's been 17 years, but he's a legend for sure. But yeah, it's crazy to see that. Crazy to see him come out and play that way. Poor Justin Tucker. But hey, more power to the Eagles defense for making those stops and forcing them into field goals. At the end of the day, like that is the top offense in the league. I was hearing about King Henry. Is this your king? He got dropped a couple times. ZB got him too. Get these boys out of there. Come on.
Exactly.
Philly.
All right. we're about to wrap up here. Same way we do it every time. Final thoughts. Chris, what you got?
Go Birds.
Love
Keep
it.
it simple.
Love it. Tommy?
Always bringing the spice, always bringing something nice. But at the end of the day, it is a Go Birds, and everything is great when the Eagles are winning football games.
Exactly. Shawnee?
Football is fun, baby. Bring on the Panthers.
Exactly. Final thought. We started the year predicting 15-2, Sean and I.
Insane.
2-2 start. We ain't running. 15-2, baby. Go Birds.